Hello students. So today we are going to make a 1-point perspective shapes artwork. So for this lesson, you will need a pencil, an eraser. You will need some shapes, which I have some that I've cut out for myself, or you can find any shapes that you have around the house. You will also need colored pencils. You will need a ruler, and you will need a fine tip marker. You will also need a glue stick, a pair of scissors, and you're going to need a black poster board to glue your 1-point perspective shapes artwork to. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's move everything out of the way. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our names on our paper. Make sure you put your full name, first and last, and then turn it over, and then in the middle of your paper I want you to put a dot. Now this dot is going to create a vanishing point where I will be drawing lines from my shapes to my vanishing point. Okay, now after that, then we're going to start adding shapes around the edge of our paper, and I don't want you to put any less than 10 shapes. Now you can put more, and I like to put more myself because I think it looks better, and if you have more shapes, it is easier to cut out the finished artwork to glue to a background. So for this, we can use any type of tracers that you want or that are available. And we can also use a ruler to make our shapes. I have pre-cut some shapes out for myself that I'm going to be using. But like I said, you can use other things. Like one of the things I will be using is a little circle here that's a little coin. But the other shapes, I pretty much created them myself. So I have all my different shapes here. Okay. So let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I'll probably add a couple more myself, but let's go ahead and start. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to create our shapes. So just take your shapes and start placing them around the edge. I'm going to use a square here. Okay, so I got a square there. And I'm going to put a circle here. Now I'm doing this on a smaller paper than we're going to be using because my camera will show up better. So it will show up better on my camera. Let's put this one here. Yeah, that's good. But the actual final artwork that I did was on a larger piece of paper. Put one right here. And I'm going to speed this up so that you don't have to watch me putting down all my shapes, okay? Okay, so there I have 10 of my shapes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I will go from the edge or the corners of each of my shapes, and I will bring the lines to my vanishing point, which is right here, the center point. Now the key to what we're doing here is that we don't want to make our lines go through any of the shapes. So some of the shapes may look overlapped, and that's wonderful. That gives it more depth. So I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and put this down. Yeah, put this one down. So you'll see I'm going from the edge here, and then I will line up my ruler to the center point. I put my pencil on the edge and then go down to the center point like that. Then I will do the same thing on the other side. I will take the center point, and then I will find the edge of my circle, which is right there, and I will go to the center point too, to the vanishing point. Okay, now I can't go from here because it would go through my circle. So that's about the only place I could go with this vanishing point for my circle. Now let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to take this and go from this point to the vanishing point, and from this point to the vanishing point, and then the same over here. So make this a little bit pointed. Like that. So we'll go from that point to the vanishing point. And let's see, will this one go? Nope. See, now we can't take that to the vanishing point because it will go through. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's about all we can do with that one. And so let's go from this one over here. Okay, now you'll see that this one would go through. Oh, actually it won't. It will go right beside it. So let's just go ahead and put that like that. And then we'll go from here to there. And then from there to there. Okay, and then we will just keep doing this. Now this one will not be able to, this one would go through. You see that it would go through, so we don't want it to go through the other shapes. So we would just take it from here and still put it on the vanishing point. So you would pretend, if you pretended you would go down, it would go through to the vanishing point. But since we don't want to go through the other shapes, we would take it right there and we would stop. Okay, so that it looks overlapped. Then we would go ahead with the other one and take it to the vanishing point like that. And the same thing for this. Even though, okay, maybe we should put that one first just to be sure that we're not going through that one. So right there, and then from this corner over right there. Okay, now so this one right here, it would go through. So we don't want to take it through, but we do still have a little bit of an edge here that we can add on. See? So there was still a little edge. Now with the star, you're going to also add this because every point would get a line. Okay, and remember this one would go through, so you don't want to make it go through, so you'll stop right there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this with all of them, and then I will speed it up so you don't have to watch me doing it, and then we'll come back. Okay. Okay, so now I have finished putting all the lines onto my paper, going to the vanishing points from the shapes. Now what I'm going to do is I will take a black fine tip marker or Sharpie, and I will trace all of my lines. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will come back and show you what I have. Okay, so now I have everything traced with the black marker. So now what I'm going to do is I will take my colored pencils, and it doesn't really matter what color you choose to start with. It's up to you. Oh, also, you might want to go ahead and erase your pencil lines so that you don't end up smearing them, because they do smear very easily with colored pencils. So just make sure you have all those erased. And I see a couple that I missed too. There's my black marker. I do need to go over this line, my black marker, real quick. There you go. Okay, there, that's it. Okay, so now that we have that all finished, we'll go ahead and start doing our values. So let me go on the top to this. So I'll take any colored pencil, any color that you want, and you have a choice. Now you can either go with it as I did with mine on here, which is I started with dark, and then as I went up, I went lighter, or you can start light and then go up and make it darker. So I've already created one with going dark, so let's start out going light. So I'm going to just very lightly, as if like a feather, touching a feather, I'm going to color the bottom. Then as I go up, I will get a little bit darker, and then a little bit darker, and my values just get darker as I go down. So I'm just pushing down harder with my pencil as I go up until I get to the top, which will be the darkest value. So I'm going to push down really hard at the top. To create my dark value. And then as I mentioned, the bottom will be lighter. And then lighter until it's really, really, really light. So there we go. So that's one of my values. Okay, and then I would do that with the rest. Now, if I'm starting with a color, so let's see, let's put, that's purple, and you do blue. Okay, now if I'm starting with one color here, I think I could have made a line down there to go to that point. Let me see if I can do that. I think I should have been able to do that. No, no. But I can make a small line. Okay. Okay, so if you start with one color, then you need to make sure that your color stays the same for both this and this. So if I'm starting up here with a darker blue, then I would want to do this color in the same color of blue. So you don't want to change the colors inside of each of the shapes. So I would start out going dark. And make sure I've got my darkest value at the top or the bottom, whichever you're doing. We're doing this one during at the top. Okay. And then as we go down, we will get lighter. So we would just loosen up our pencil a little bit as we go down. So we're barely touching the paper with our pencil. Okay, and then the same here. Okay, and we want to see the transition from dark to light. Okay, here. Let's put that one. And then this one. And then we put a little bit of blue in there. Okay, here we go. So that's what I'm going to do with all of these. And now if you run out of colors, you can always add the same color again, but you would want to make it like opposite. So for instance, if I have blue here and I don't know what else to do, I'll put maybe the other blue over here and so forth. Okay, but we have plenty of colors, so we should be able to do all different colors. Once we are through coloring, then what we will do is we are going to start putting Zen Tangle designs inside of our artworks. Okay, so then, and I'll show you how to do that. All right. Okay, so there I have all my shapes colored. I think I'm going to add a small shape right here to make it easier to cut out. And then I think over here, I will add another small shape. And then maybe right here, add another shape. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so here I have all of my shapes colored in with the values, and I put some black marker in here which will match in with the black matte background that I'm putting on. I'm gluing this to. So if you have any open spaces like this that have white, see the rest of these are pretty close together, but if you have any spaces that are white, then you can go ahead and color that in with black. And then after you're done doing the values, then go ahead and start adding your Zen Tangle patterns onto your artwork. And then when that's finished, you can either color your Zen Tangle patterns like I did, or you can leave them black and white. It's up to you, but you will cut it out and then you will glue it to a black matte board, and then you will be finished. I also suggest that you place your artwork underneath a heavy book so that when it dries, it will dry flat, okay? So I hope you have fun.